Lay out the frame with the tires and cross members. We're going to begin by putting on the tires. You can use a ratchet and a 3/4 inch socket with a 6-inch extension, or an impact wrench like we have shown here. Notice the location of the coped holes on each of the cross members. On the non-engine side cross member, there are the two coped holes, both located equidistant from the ends of the cross member. On the engine side cross member, it also has two coped holes, but has a pair of drilled through holes for mounting the engine bracket. Lay out the cross members as shown. Pay close attention to the orientation of the coped holes on the arch and cross member, as this will be important for installing the engine bracket later on. If you're having trouble identifying the correct position of the engine side cross member, you can do so by locating a third hole drilled through the arch where the engine bracket will be mounted later. Begin attaching the engine side cross member with one person holding up the frame. Slide a frame washer onto one of the provided frame bolts. Insert it into the outside of the arch and thread it into the end of the cross member. Note the position of the 3 holes drilled for the engine bracket. Repeat the process of mounting the cross member for the other side. Once both cross members are attached to the arch, position both arches as shown and raise them together. Align the holes for the opposite arch and cross member and fasten them together with the bolt and frame washer as done with the other side. Now we're going to mount the engine. First, observe that there are 3 separate pairs of hydraulic hoses coming from the engine bracket. The first pair is short and has 90-degree fittings. These will go to the engine side wheel motors. The second pair of medium length has straight fittings on the ends. These will attach to the lifting mechanism. The third, longest pair also has 90-degree fittings and will attach to the non-engine side wheel motors. Place the engine next to the frame. Take 2 of the 3/8 inch mounting bolts and place them into the mounting holes to help in alignment with the cross member. Using 2 people, lift the engine bracket onto the cross member, allowing the 2 bolts previously placed in the bracket to fall into the correct holes. Slide a third bolt into the top mounting point of the engine bracket. Remember to fasten the bottom bolts of the engine bracket to the rest of the frame. Take the longest set of hoses and pull them between the arches. They will have 90-degree fittings. Take the hoses and push them up through the coped hole next to the engine. Feed them all the way to the opposite side of the arch. On the opposite side of the same arch, there is another coped hole on the arch exterior. Have one person watch the hole until the fittings from the hoses appear, then pull them out. Normally, it's easier to push one hose through and then follow with the second. Once the 2 hoses have been pulled completely through, take the longer of the 2 and route it through the near side coped hole in the bottom of the cross member and out of the other coped hole on the far side. Next, take the 2 medium-length hoses and bring them between the arches as with the first set. They will be fed through the same coped hole, but will exit the arch through the coped hole in the top of the arch. If you're having trouble feeding the hoses up into the arch, it may be helpful to remove the top securing bolt from the engine bracket before feeding them through. The weight of the engine bracket will need to be supported by another person while this is done. Retrieve the hoses as they pass in front of the cove toll at the top of the arch. If you removed it, remember to replace the bolt at the top of the engine bracket. Find the set of unattached hoses next. These should also have 90-degree fittings on the ends and be approximately 5 feet long. Take each one and feed it through the end of each cross member through the coped hole and out of the other side. The direction that these hoses are inserted is not important. Each wheel motor has two 90-degree fittings. Use the hose installed from the previous clip to connect the two outside wheel motor fittings. When the hoses have been connected, connect the other two hoses to the remaining two fittings. Tires have been removed here for demonstrational purpose only. You shouldn't have to remove them in order to connect the fittings. Now we're ready to install the top cross member with the lifting mechanism attached. With two people, lift the top cross member into place, orientated as shown. Secure with the included frame bolts as with the previous cross members. Connect the two previously installed hydraulic hoses to the fittings on the lifting mechanism cylinder, the shorter hose to the closer fitting, and the longer hose to the farther fitting. Fasten the hoses securely. Now we're ready to install the lifting clamps. Place them on the ground, hooks facing outward and chains pulled outward as well, with the straps facing inward. Connect the clevises on the chains to the holes in the wheel motor brackets and tighten them. Once the clevises have been secured, connect the D-clip to the lifting rope. Repeat this process for the other side of the Bearch Rover. Use the included zip ties to fasten the hydraulic hoses in place. Secure the two hoses together that connect the hydraulic cylinder and affix the lower hoses to the sides of the arches as shown. When all the zip ties have been secured, trim the zip ties to length. Add oil to the engine until the level is in an appropriate location on the dipstick. This is located on the side of the engine. Remove the cap on the hydraulic oil reservoir and fill to the line with standard hydraulic oil. After adding fuel, turn the motor on, pull out the choke pin, and pull start the engine. Push both valve controls forward, then pull them both back. Following, raise and lower the lifting harness with the third valve control as shown. There may be a delay in the Bearch Rover's movement due to the filling of the hydraulic lines. After this process is completed, you will need to refill the hydraulic fluid reservoir to the fill line. The Bearch Rover comes with a stainless steel lockout device. Once inserted, the valves are inoperable and a padlock can be installed on the open end. Every Bearch Rover also includes an engine cover to keep out sand and other debris from the components installed on the engine bracket.